Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool ring. I've put a list of everything you'll need in the description below. So let's get to it. To make this ring you'll need 1.2mm wire, which is 16 gauge, and I've cut one length at 3.5 inches, which is 9 centimeters. You'll need 21 gauge, I'm using square, so that's 0.8mm, so you can use square or round, it's entirely up to you. I've cut two lengths at 5 inches, which is 13 centimeters. I've got a small bead, mine is just 5mm. You can use anything similar. You could probably use something a lot bigger if you wanted to, and just adjust the shapes. I might be using some small beads, those are 2.5mm, but I'll put that on the screen because I do change my mind. Tools, we've got pliers, round nose pliers, cutters. You'll need some old cutters or some cheap cutters so you don't spoil your good ones when you're cutting the thicker wire. And I like to have nylon pliers handy for flattening weaves and straightening wires, but if you don't have these, don't worry about it. What else? So you're going to need a ring mandrel today. Mine's wooden. If you've got a metal one, then you're much better off because you can hammer the ring onto the you can hammer the wire onto the mandrel. I can't because it's wood, so I'm going to hammer mine separately. But yeah, you'll need a ring mandrel for this today, and I am going to be hammering my wire, so you'll need a hammer and a block or a metal ring mandrel. I feel like I'm going on now, and some a nail file or some sandpaper or something. So just to help us out and give you an idea of the sizes, if you measure, and this is rough, this is really rough, but it gives us an estimate to start with. But if you measure around your finger, so mine, I measured it just was like 6 centimeters, and then you measure around your mandrel, mine would be, I mean this is very rough, what would that be there? So I'm looking at an 8 sort of thing for 6, so 6 centimeters would be an 8, and then in a bit we can estimate the length of the weaves to wrap around, because I want the ring to come around and kind of meet, if you want it to overlap, so you can make it a lot bigger if you want to, that's entirely up to you, but I'm just trying to give us an estimate to work to, if that makes sense. So as well, your wires, cut them to the lengths that I have, but if you're making a much bigger one, I'm going to leave a bit of extra wire on there. So we'll start with the big frame wire, grip it centrally with your pliers. Oh, I've got a creaky chair today. And we're going to bend it. We'll bend it completely. I was going to bend it into a V. Should we bend it completely and make a nice shape on there? You can just hold this wire. My hands are feeling a bit today. Just going to squeeze the end of that nice and flat. And then we're going to turn it side on, grip the tip, pull one wire out one way and one wire out the other. If you just want to bend it into a V, then that's fine, you can just do that. I'm just trying to make it a bit fancy. And then try and match those sides up. So this is where the estimation of length comes into as well, because I wanted mine to be 6 centimeters. So I'm going to go a tiny bit shorter because I don't actually want the wires touching at the back. I want a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to go 5.5, and I'm just going to go and hammer that nice and flat. So I've hammered mine, it's all covered in hammer marks. I've had to reshape the middle a little bit, and I've had to level it up because I bent it a little bit. So now I need to file all those marks off because it's absolutely spoiled. I've got a nail buffer. Like I got one of those really fine buffers that feels quite flat, but that'll bring the shine out. And I've got a polishing cloth, so I'm gonna get all those marks off. I bought these buffers from Shein, so they're really cheap. I don't know what the numbers mean, but this is like a nice grade for just buffing it. And after you've filed your nails, you know when you get the little rough bits, so after I've filed my nails I always go over them with that as well, so it is quite good from Shein. So you can see how it's got the hammer marks out and it's all lovely and shiny now. I must do the back as well. So I know it's a lot of faffing about, but you want it to be admired when it's done. You don't want them to see all your hammer marks on there. My hands are riffy now. So we need to file these sharp bits off too. And I'm going to use an old nail file for that. I'm just going to take all those sharp bits off. So I've just rounded it a little with the file. And now I'll go and wash my hands. So if you take one of your base wires, kind of find the central part, and we're going to just scoop that wire down a little bit. It's going to kind of go there, and then we want our bead on that part. So we've done the hardest part, the rest of it's quite easy now. Put that right in the middle of that bend, and that's going to go there. So when you're happy with the position, bring your wire around on either side. So we're just wrapping around each side. So you just want it nice and even really, just popping your bead on there. So I've really got the bug for making rings at the moment, and I just want to show you my latest tutorial over on my Etsy shop. So I made this cute little copper ring, or you can make it out of whatever you like, and it's now over on my Etsy shop. That's a step-by-step tutorial. Lots of images that it's like a book, and you just follow it through at your own pace, and I think it's quite cute. I love it. I really love making rings at the moment, so there'll be a lot more to come. So when that's where you want it to be, because mine keeps shifting about, we're going to really squeeze that wire around the frame so it stays in that position. So take your other wire, mine's square, so I'm going to twist the wire a bit. If yours is round and you want to do something different, you can always add coils to it just to make it look a bit different. So put the central point over the bead, and we're going to attach the other side here. So it's roughly the same length as the other wire. We're going to wrap around, oops, that wire, around the frame. And squeeze that around the frame so that's held. And I'm just going to twist this wire a bit. So I've done a few twists in that. And I'm going to curve this wire there. So we've got a twisty wire going over the bead, and then hold that and take the twisty wire around the frame wire, the thicker wire. We'll squeeze him in place. Once you've got them where you want them, really press those wires around the frame so they stay there. Next we're going to do some little swirls. So I'm going to take my lower wire here, and I want it quite small. I'm going to bring that wire around. If we do it a bit at a time, you can see where it's going. Like that, and we're going to do the same to the other side. So we'll take that one. So this one came down, so this one's got to come, just trying to match them up, come down and around, so we're going the same way. Do it a bit at a time. You can see I want it quite small, so it matches up with that one. I do want this wire twisted. I was going to try and keep it straight, but I'm going to twist it. So I'm twisting, I'm going to twist the two ends of the middle twisty wire. I find if I twist the longer lengths, they don't seem to twist very evenly. If you're using like a drill or something, then I'm sure you'll have it a lot more sus than me. So I'm just twisting that wire, and I'll twist that one as well. So we've got twisty wires on each side. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to bring it around, and it's a bit tougher now because it's all twisted. And I'm going to come up the middle here where the bead is. That should help as well to keep the bead central. Do the same on the other side, so we're going to keep matching it up. So match up those shapes, and then holding that shape so it doesn't move, we're going to take that wire straight over the top. We want it to come under here between these two wires. Again on this side, holding that, take it over the top and bring it through there. We're looking a little bit like an insect. We're looking a bit like a wasp face or a bee face. So I'm going to weave on this last little bit, and this one is now going to join that weave. So I'm going to just take it flat there, so it follows that wire. Everything we do on one side we'll do to the other, so match it up. Bend it to follow that wire. And this wire here, holding this all together, is going to come over the front and around in a tiny loop. We'll do that on this side as well. So it's going to go into the middle, so we come over, holding everything else still in place, and around into a tiny loop. Oops. need to match those up. So this goes here to add to the weave, and then this one has to add to the weave too. So we're going to bend him straight too. I don't want to bend everything else. So we've got 3 wires together for that last little bit of weave. We'll do the same here. And now we're just going to add a little bit of weave. So look at your middle wire, and we'll attach to that with our weaving wire. Push it all the way down to where the wires go straight. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little weave. So we go over the top. So we've got over the top 2 wires. Then we come under the bottom and we go over the middle one. So we've gone around the bottom 2 wires. Come up between the bottom 2. And we'll go over the top, so I'm going around the top 2 again. Under the bottom, over the second wire, so we've gone around the bottom 2. Come up between the bottom 2. Over the top, so we've strapped all those wires together there. And then come up between the bottom 2 and wrap around the middle wire only about 5 times. Keep pushing it together, and then we'll do that again. So come up between the bottom 2, go around the top 2, go around the bottom 2, top 2, bottom 2, top 2, middle wire, 5 times around the middle wire. Do you get it? And we'll do that until we reach close to the end. I'll probably fit another one on there. I'll put another one on there. We need to do this weave on the other side too. When you cut your little ends, make sure that you press them down. See, I'm going to sharp bits. I'm not going to add any more wire to that, so I'll cut that off too. Oh, I didn't add any little beads, so I was going to add a little bead to these scoops here. I'll mention it on the video as you go in case you want to add those little beads on there. But now I'm going to do the same weave as we just did on this side. So add your weaving wire to your middle wire, slide it down, and then copy what you've done on this side, along this side to the end line. So I've done the same weave on the other side. So now we just need to finish off these 2 wires. You want them about the same as these. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to curl them over with the very tip of the round nose into like just a little tiny curl, with the wire coming back in and touching itself so you don't get a sharp bit. And do that to the other side too. And now we need to take it around the mandrel. That one was at 8, wasn't it? So very carefully and evenly if you can. And I know this isn't just going to work the first time. We're going to have to shape it around and pull those curls back in. Okay, so mine's ended up being a lot smaller than an 8. But I'm going to shape it around. I'll add that to the screen. My measurements are completely wrong. And I'm going to shape it around. Where's my bail pliers gone? So I shaped it around a bit with my bail pliers and my curls have moved. So I'm just going to pull those back in. It was all going a bit too smoothly, wasn't it? Something had to go wrong. So I've bent it around just a little with the bail pliers there. I got a bit of a dink there, haven't I? And mine does still fit. So I just got my sizes wrong. I didn't plan to have such a huge gap. I wanted them to come to an almost touch. You can still do that if you want to. So shape your ring around. So I've brought the ends around to where I wanted them to be. And it's not going to fit on there. It can if you just pull it open. But it's more like it's this size now, so that's ended up more like a 5 than a 9 or 8, whatever it was. I love how it turned out though. I think that looks really pretty. So I'm going to run and oxidise mine and I'll show you, and I'll put all the adjustments on the screen as we go so you don't make a really small one. Another thing you can do if you want to, I think I'm going to, the bead keeps moving around in the middle. And we don't want it sat to the side, we want it sat nice and central. So I'm going to add a little bit of weaving wire around this wire here on each side. I reckon just a few wraps on each side, just to keep that bead nice and central. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I've done videos on oxidising and aftercare. I've done a few now. I'll put links in the description below. I hope you found this tutorial easy to follow and I didn't cause too much confusion. Oh, and then when you finish them off at the ends, make sure you curl the actual frame bar in a little bit and it's not sticking out. Mine was sticking out a bit earlier. So I hope you found this tutorial useful and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now, take care, bye.